Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Music Scene Investigation. Had to push my button over there. It happens. It really does. And I'm sliding sliders, pushing buttons, and all that as we speak. Rich Wildman here with you. Glad you joined us this week. We are hot off the first and premiere episode of Hit List, where Kid Felix walked away with the Band of the Month. And we're happy that they were a part of that. They won that, and they got a great prize, the Apex Punch Factory, from our sponsors and partners, Live to Play Network and Sound Pro Live. They are now in rotation over at Butterflies Radio, getting ready and working out the details on an interview over there and being publicized across the web by Indie Music Bus. All sorts of good stuff. They're literally all over the web, and a lot of promotion going on for them, so congratulations to Kid Felix. And if you want to be part of that excitement that is Hit List, you got to make it through as a Song of the Week selectee here on Music Scene Investigation. And this is where that happens. How do you do that, you say? Well, let me tell you. It's very easy to do. Go to MusicSceneInvestigation.com as an indie artist. Submit your original music for review by our panel of experts. Once they've reviewed it, and if they vote it into that Song of the Week category, you are then eligible to participate in the Hit List broadcast, which occurs live every second Wednesday of the month on MSI Radio. And if you get that Hit List selectee as Band of the Month, you move on for that Artist of the Year. Yes, the coveted Artist of the Year, where you could be named and get a great prize there. I believe it was, what was it, Ian? A hearty handshake and a pat on the back, I believe. And a wonderful...
It was, but...
And a wonderful, wonderful trophy. Right, Ian?
I was going to say, don't forget the trophy. And also, this year, now we have sponsorship, there might actually be some prizes as well. But we don't want to talk about that because nothing's confirmed.
All right. So how you doing, Ian?
Ian, you look like you're in a batting cage.
I'm in the bat cave.
Oh, okay.
So how are you, Ian? I know that you've been busy again this week. Everything going all right for you?
It's been a busy week, but we're still here and we're still broadcasting, and that's the main thing.
Absolutely. Glad to have you here all the way from London. And
I have got some hit witness statement news for you, Rich. All
right, go ahead and share that with everybody.
Well, our viewers last week highly agreed with us. Song 3 took Best Songwriting with 77% of the votes. It took Best Performance with 77% of the votes. And it took Best Mix and Production with 92% of the votes.
Wow.
So nice to see that people are out there voting. And thank you very much for that. Please carry on doing so. And thanks for agreeing with us, really.
Yeah, and of course we do want to invite them to make their voices heard again this week. You'll have a chance to be a witness once again. So listen to what we have today coming up here in just a couple of minutes, and let us know what you think about that as well. Now let's go over and meet Tom Chianti out of New York. Tom, New York treating you well this week?
It's been kind of nice, although it's a little muggy out there today. We're back in a heat wave with high humidity.
Well, getting mugged in New York is a norm, right?
No.
No. I thought everybody got mugged in New York.
I've never been mugged.
Well, today you said it's a little muggy, so I figured you were mugged today.
I thought you meant he was in the mood for some mugging.
Mutton?
You must be.
All right, Tom, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. And
I have no choice.
We know. We what is it called? Extortion?
Extortion, coercion, kidnapping.
Mm-hmm. Anybody with the last name Chianti knows all of those words. Thanks again, Tom. Our guest panelist today, been with us a number of times before. In fact, he was just with us a couple of weeks ago, and he joined us then while we were begging on our knees for somebody to show up. And, of course, He came to save the day. We're glad to have him back with us again today. Leigh Heggarty. Leigh, thanks again for being with us.
It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. And it was very good to do the short notice one. I don't know whether I should be pleased that you're saying you were begging somebody to do it, but
we were begging you to do it.
Oh, I should have played hard to get. I don't know, but
you did.
Oh, that's the point. Yes, I did. Good call. Yes. Hello. Yeah, good to be back, as they say.
So I tell you now, when we talked a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how busy things are and things like that. Since we've talked, it's gotten very busy for you.
It's starting to, yes. This is something of a relief. It's been very. Ian will confirm. There's been rather a lot of rain around in the British Isles over the last few weeks, and would you agree with that, Ian? Do you think that's a reasonable analysis?
Yeah.
I think we'll take that as a yes, viewers. It's been very wet, and there's been. I had a few. I was supposed to be playing on Friday night. I was supposed to do an open air show at Cliveden House, stately home, and unfortunately that got cancelled on the day. The ground was waterlogged, and there's been a lot of that happening over here. So you expect the festivals.
You were supposed to get like a month's worth of rain in like a couple of days.
This has been happening, I believe. Yes, the news over here is dominated by it, or has been. There's been extraordinary weather here.
So,
and as you say,
but I don't know what the problem is. We live in England. It rains.
It rains, but not quite as much as it has been. Even you in your subterranean hovel must have realised that it's been raining outside occasionally, Ian.
Well, yeah, it occasionally dribbles down through the cracks in the cave, but I mean. We're in England and it rains and everyone's going, global warming. No, actually, it's not global warming anymore. It's climate change now because we're getting harsh, there's lots of rain. No, it's just England being different.
I think
we'll just have a cup of tea and get on with it.
Yeah, joking aside, it has been raining quite heavily over here, so some open air shows have been suffering. But I'm lucky enough to be doing an open air show in Croatia this week, so apparently the weather there is much better. And I'm going there this week to play with Ruts D.C. We're playing the Sea Splash Festival. As I say, in Croatia, I've never been there before, so I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. Now, I should be there less than a day.
Is the name of the festival have to do with global warming as well? The Sea Splash Festival?
Maybe the month of rain in a day festival or something. No, from what I've seen of it on the internet, it's a really good looking weekend of all different types of music. I think it's set in a castle or something, completely unlikely. It looks terrific on the internet, so I'm really looking forward to doing that. I'll take some pictures and bring them back, and we can see them.
Now, before the show, we talked about this, and basically, my understanding is of how busy you're becoming, is you're actually starting the Leigh Heggarty World Tour.
Well, I don't know about that. As I say, the first weekend of the World Tour is Croatia and Uxbridge. So you could argue it starts well and then kind of tails off a bit. Although I think there's nothing wrong with playing guitar in Uxbridge. There's nothing wrong with playing guitar anywhere in my little world. After that, this summer there's a few bits starting to come in now. Some of it with Ruts D.C, which, as I say, we're doing the Rebellion Festival in Blackpool, which should be really good. That's a big festival there. We're on with Public Image there, which I'm really looking forward to. One of my favourite bands.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
We're also playing the Guernsey Literary Festival, which is quite an interesting one.
Do they have T-shirts for that?
The Guernsey Literary Festival. They should do, shouldn't they?
I think so.
I might see if I can do some for them.
That would be brilliant.
There's a few bits coming up.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. I'm glad that things are picking up. I'm glad you're going to be busy this summer. And now, you'd mentioned that you're planning or believe you're going to wind up spending a lot more time in the airport than possibly even in Croatia.
Yes, we will be. I think if the timings are to be believed, I'll be in Croatia for under 24 hours, probably nearer to about 20 hours. So I think, given airport delays, I'll probably spend more time at one or other of the airports involved. But this is quite common with shows like this. I've done a few things. I did a show down in the south of France once, and we were genuinely there for less than a day. It was bizarre. I think, but Croatia's probably the furthest I've been to do that kind of quick turnaround.
This is a question. It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek question, but kind of a serious question as well. I mean, to get popular, to get more people knowing you and your bands from a name perspective, the idea is to get out there and perform, get your music in front of them, right? Now, have you guys ever considered the idea of taking all this airport layover time and converting it into gig time and just setting up in the concourse and playing a few?
I think I must admit, I think as anybody who ever saw the famous footage of the Beatles on the Apple rooftop has always wanted to play in unlikely places, and I'm certainly one of those people. I suppose one of the strangest ones I ever did was I played in a barbershop window and tried in vain to get 3 other people with me so we could say we were a barbershop quartet, but unfortunately it was just a duo. But we did actually play in a barbershop window all day while they had a party in there. So you do get to play in some interesting places. The airport, that would be kind of cool, I think. Probably, I wonder how long we'd last before the scary security men arrived. Probably not very long.
As soon as the guitarist opened up their case, I'm thinking.
That's what I was about to say. I think probably the guitar cases would arouse some suspicion. It normally does. I'm regularly followed around by slightly scary, rather silent men. Like to know
we'll tell Tom to leave. Tom, don't follow Leigh around in airports anymore, okay?
Well, he's got a bigger guitar case than me, so.
I wonder where when I first saw Tom, I wonder where I'd seen him bore. It's starting to make sense.
Yeah. Tom does that a lot, and
you've never seen
Tom never makes sense.
Oh, of course he does.
Well, I tell you, Leigh, we know that you're going to have a great show over in Croatia and in Uxbridge as well.
Especially Uxbridge.
So, well, we definitely wish you a great time, and glad you're here with us today. So,
thank you.
So a shout out to all the guys over at Balcony Shirts as well.
Yeah,
of course, we always say hi to the Balcony boys.
Absolutely. Now, I want to get down to the business at hand, which is listening to some music and getting your thoughts on it all. So, without further ado, let's take a listen to the first track up on today's MSI. Here it is, everyone. This is song number 1. There it is, song number 1 on today's MSI. Let's find out what Ian thinks first. Ian, what do you think of track number 1?
Well, the intro had me kind of, yeah, this is going to be cool. I mean, the beats they were using, the rhythmic feel they gave to it, the groove, the little stops and missed beats they were doing, all worked really, really well. And the drums sounded absolutely fantastic on the intro. Then the intro went on a little bit too long for my liking, and then everything came in, and this whole thing is just compressed and maxed out in volume to oblivion. Everything's sitting on top of each other. You can't make out the distinct sounds of the string parts, of the bass. It's all just a mash together. You can kind of pick it out. It's kind of there, but it's not standing on its own like it should do. Don't get me wrong, I think there's some really good compositional qualities going on here. There's some really nice parts, the mixing of the genres. There is an arrangement, although I did feel the arrangement really lacked a distinct melody or hook or anything like that for me to grab onto. And I felt the changes became very samey. You kind of knew what you were going to get, didn't move on that much, didn't progress. When that lead guitar came in, that almost took my head off. I mean, that is probably down to the overcompression as well, but that really did wipe out a lot of the track in some frequencies. It was just obliterating things. I liked the use of the vocal sample, but I felt that was too short and far too late in the arrangement. That needed to come in earlier, and maybe more samples, create sort of almost a couple of verses out of it to keep some interest going and give something to listen to besides this crashing, grooving beat with everything compacted around it. It's probably got a place in film or games or something like that. But, I mean, what I would have liked to heard and what I thought I was going to hear after the intro was more of a Trent Reznor industrial, kind of dark vocal piece. And I would seriously consider maybe stripping away some of them strings, making it a bit dark and getting a vocal on there, personally.
All right, Ian, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's find out what Tom thought. Tom, what do you think of number 1?
Well, the intro was a little bit long, but it did kind of remind me of some of the Tears for Fears songs from the Big Chair. It didn't really have a hook. You know, it's compositionally it may be interesting, and the beat is the one thing it had going through it throughout. The guitar was a little overpowering, like Ian said, but it came in too late, and I think it got too little, too interesting, too late. And as far as the overcompression, it just made things harder overall, and the mix itself was at fault, not the compression. And I just think that it would have been better served had they, like Ian said, put a Trent Reznor type vocal in there, or at least something that would have made it hookier and more memorable. It's sort of like a musical interlude that could be used in the title sequence as an intro or outro to a movie. I don't see it really becoming something that I would want to listen again to.
All right, Tom, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Now let's go over to Leigh Heggarty, our guest panelist. Leigh, your thoughts?
Okay. Well, at the risk of just rather blithely agreeing with the two lads there, I think they've covered pretty much everything that I would say on that. I really liked the intro. That drum was so kind of promising, that great big sound on the start, and then, as everyone said, everything came sort of hammering in, and there was this very dense. I was trying to pick out sounds within it. The overall effect was I thought was good in the sense that there was a lot of impact, but then once you'd got past the impact, it was very hard to sort of get inside it and find something to latch onto. As Tom said, it's finding a hook within it was quite difficult. Although I think there were things going on, it was hard to pick them out. I like that it was harmonically interesting. There was some nice little twists and turns in what I'll call the string parts, if you like, that kind of swooping feel I liked. And I just got used to it being an instrumental, and in came the kind of voiceover, which again was that was kind of a nice moment. I kind of was first aware of the kind of you could sort of hear a bass coming in, then a voice came in. I thought, oh, this is interesting. Now something's happening here. The guitar, I was pleased to hear a guitar. Yes, it did somewhat swamp things. Lots of notes, wasn't it? I won't catch people like me playing like that, I'll tell you. It sounds like he's got 9 fingers on each of his 4 hands. It was extraordinary. I know there's lots of people who can play like that, but I'm definitely not one of them. You know? But so from that point of view, the kind of widdly diddly guitar was it kind of added to the mush a bit, didn't it? It was kind of just a little bit too much, really. It's funny that
if that actually was a real guitar.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, I mean, well, without sounding flippant, without wishing to sound flippant, I'm one of the last people to ask about that. I'm not. That's not a style of playing I know very much about, and therefore it's not a style that I could overanalyze, if you like. And that's not false modesty. I just can't play like that. It's sort of people younger than me that play like that, I think. Tears for Fears, though, that's funny because I'd actually written them down, and they bits of it brought to mind that kind of 80s sound. Yeah, I mean, very, very, very head scratching stuff, that one.
All right.
But, yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that, Leigh. Thank you. And let me take a couple of seconds here, introduce that track to everyone. The name of the group is called Skelectory, and the track is called Theme 43. So we appreciate Skelectory for sending that track into Music Scene Investigation. All right, gentlemen, as usual, we have 2 more tracks to hit up, and we're going to take a listen to the second track right now. So here we go, everyone. Track number 2 on Music Scene Investigation.
You are the
That's track number 2 on today's Music Scene Investigation. Let's go over and talk to Tom now and find out what he thought of it. Tom, your thoughts on track number 2?
There were definitely reasons that one of the things I always tell every musician who plays guitar or any tunable instrument is always make sure your instrument's in tune, especially when you start to record. It sounded like that rhythm guitar was either over tremoloed, over chorused, or out of tune completely. It just enough to distract enough from the track. It was too loud in the mix. The vocal needs to come up. That guitar needs to go way down and change the sound on it. I think it was the wrong sound for it. It was a little too thick, It was just the tuning just distracted me from it. The bass should have been a little bit bigger and thicker. Song-wise, it's a ballad. Not generally a fan of ballads, but I mean, the singer put a good performance in, but the mix was a little underdone, and as I said, that guitar just keeps ringing in my head, and its distraction was enormous. So I would say go back and re-record the guitar track, try a different sound, maybe put in some heavy guitars, some backgrounds, get a thicker bass sound. The drums are okay, but very small. And yeah, I see Frozen is agreeing with me when I was going to say the vocals went off a little pitch and here and there. It just seems that they went in a little bit unprepared and should have rehearsed a little bit more, thought it through a little bit more, and practiced it a little bit more.
All right, Tom, I appreciate it. Thank you. And Leigh Heggarty, what do you think of track number 2?
Yes, there was definitely some sort of tuning issue or discrepancy. It was when the band came in, and I thought first of all the bass was out of tune or something, but definitely something was happening there. There was a strong chorus on the guitar, strong chorus effect, and it was a stereo chorus as well, which listening on headphones, I for one always find quite disorientating. I know some people quite like it, but it was whizzing around your head, and then suddenly when the band came in, it all seemed out of tune, and there was a strange moment there. And as Tom said, that's. It's not even rule 1. It's almost rule 0. It's before the rules start. Is get things in tune. Trying to sort of ignore that for a moment, which is, as Tom says, is very difficult because I must admit I was sort of listening to it throughout the track. The song-wise, I felt it started plenty of promise, and I was waiting for the chorus to come in. And what I'll call the chorus is the "You Are My Rock" section of the song. The fact that it was on the same chord as the verse, I found it's a shame it didn't go up to go into the chorus or even drop into the minor or something like that. I just felt it made things a little bit one-dimensional, which was a shame because the vocal had a bit of passion about it. I thought he was obviously singing about something that meant a lot to them, and it was a shame that it didn't kind of draw you in. Sound-wise, as Tom said, it was kind of hard to hear the vocal a bit. It was a little bit lost in things. In terms of it being, it's funny. I've written here it's a simple song, but that's the one we're all trying to write. And it's funny. I've worked with so many producers who've said that people overcomplicate songs. You can also, I think, make them too simple. And sometimes we are all trying to write G, C, and D, and a minor chord in it, and call that a hit single. And if you can get it right, it works brilliantly. That sounded like a song that attempted to do that. Didn't quite pull it off, but with a bit of fooling around could get to be a lot better. And sort of as sort of from a guitar point of view, the guitar solo sound was very peculiar. I'm not sure that it was peculiar enough to work. If you see what I mean, I thought it had to be either quite straightforward or very weird, and it was not weird enough to be very weird. So there was a lot there that I thought was very promising, or whatever word you'd like to use. It just sounded a little bit underdeveloped, and I can't get that tuning thing out of my mind. I'm sorry, that was difficult to listen through, if you like. I just kept hearing that kind of out of tune feel. So
All right, I appreciate it, Lee. Thank you. And Ian, what do you think of number 2?
Yeah, I mean, tuning issues, again, getting past them, definitely some tuning issues. And that was across the spectrum with the guitars especially. Another tip for tuning, when recording, always tune your instruments from the same tuner. So if you've got 3 guitars, tune them on one tuner, because you can get discrepancies from tuner to tuner.
Definitely.
Always a good tip. But Tom said the vocal performance was good. I disagree. I found that the vocal performance was flat, especially towards the start of the song. He got better when it went up in key a little bit, and he sort of pushed his voice a bit more. But I found his vocal performance mediocre at best. I think, really does need someone sitting there pushing him and, feeling that vocal instead of trying to get every word spot on correct. There were a few pitch issues which I would have tidied up as well. But, I mean, the guy can sing. I just think he needs more production on that vocal to get that passion and get that feeling over, rather than necessarily getting every word right. I think he was trying too hard. Overall, the performances across the board were okay. I don't think anyone was shining, to be honest. I think, all of the performances were good enough for what this has ended up being, which, I would say is a song demo. But it is a song demo that sounds like it was recorded sort of in the 70s or 80s. Too much reverb on the vocal. The vocal's really set back. I mean, partly because of volume, partly because of that reverb. Guitars, especially the distorted guitars, they came in far too loud. And the lead guitar as well, as Lee said, it was an odd sound. It played okay. The sound just wasn't sitting. I found the bass sound was very flappy and boxy, and that needs attention with the EQ and some compression as well. And again, the drums, I found them very loose. They need tightening up with compression, especially the toms. I found them very sort of just not there. It was all over the place, really. For a song, it was cliched 70s, early 80s rock ballad that's been done a billion times before. I've written many a song with C, G and E minor in it, still haven't had a hit. And this one just isn't going to be a hit. It's been done too many times before, and it's not current.
All right, Ian, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, everyone, the name of that track is called Taken Too Soon by Benfamous, not the rapper Benfamous, but another Benfamous. Taken Too Soon. We appreciate Ben sending that into Music Scene Investigation. Before we go on, I want to remind everybody again, hit list every second Wednesday of the month. That's at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time and 10:30 p.m. GMT. You want to make it into that, you got to make it through here first. You got to go through the labs to get on the hit list, and the only way to do that is submit your music at MusicSceneInvestigation.com. All right, gentlemen, we have one track Rich, remaining. Yes, sir, Tom?
And they should also be made aware that the MSI radio is where they have to go for that.
I agree, and I'm glad you brought that up. Now, I do want to make this statement before we play the third track. I am not a connoisseur of hip-hop or rap music. It's not that I don't like it, it's just that I don't have enough time to listen to it all. So this track is questionable in regards to its validity of the music, the backing track. I don't know if it's been sampled, swiped in whole, or if it even is original or not. It may very well be original. I just want to bring that up beforehand and let you guys be the judge. So here is track number 3. And that is the way that track ends. And let's now go to Leigh Heggarty and find out what he thought of that track. Lee, what do you think of track number 3?
Well, there we are. This is definitely a situation where I kind of wish I wasn't the first person commenting on this. Well, that's what I call a surprise ending. How deliberate was that? I don't know. It sounded like the old days when your cassette tape used to run out and the song would just suddenly stop, and you thought, oh, there you go. But talking of cassette tapes, the overall sound of it was maybe I'm not hearing things very well tonight. Maybe, who knows? The overall sound of it was so kind of difficult for me to listen to that. It was like when I was a lad and we used to record our band rehearsals on cassettes, because you didn't have much money, you used to record the cassette several times, and you'd use it the next week or whatever. And if you used a cheap recorder and a cheap tape, you'd hear some of last week's rehearsal in the background sometimes. Yeah, we all know what that was like. You know, and it sounded like that. There were these things that would kind of poke through suddenly, and it's like almost like a string sound or something that sounded like they hadn't been wiped off properly from the old cassette or some such. I don't know. It was very strange and hard to. It made it hard to concentrate on what your man was saying, and I was trying to listen to what he was saying, but it was just so hard to kind of get into the track. Presumably a piano sample from something. I must admit I didn't recognise it. You're probably going to tell me it's the current number one or something, but I didn't recognise the sample from it. To find some positive bits, I liked the contrast between the two voices. I thought that worked quite well. Maybe the whole thing's a home recording on a very low budget, but that thing of the levels shooting up and down, I found that quite hard to listen to. And to echo Rich's point, I'm sorry to say I don't know very much about this style of music, so I'm trying to sort of judge it positively as opposed to someone who wouldn't necessarily sit and listen to it. Some interesting moments, but hard to decipher. Is probably the best line I can leave you with.
Well, I understand and I appreciate it, Leigh. Thank you. Ian, what do you think of number 3?
Well, I'll tell you what's happened here. And basically, this has been played over a stereo, live in a living room or something like that. And they've rapped over the top of it and recorded it on external mic or something along that sort of line as it's gone along. I mean, I think Tom pointed out a dog bark or something in there, Tom, was that?
Yeah.
I thought I heard something at one point. I must admit, I wasn't sure about that.
I expected to hear a gunshot after the dog barked.
Maybe that's why the track ended so quickly.
Maybe everything ended there.
Who knows? Who knows? The end of the world. But I mean, that's I think what's happened here. And props to whoever done the backing track, because there's some good stuff going on there. I'm not going to comment on the mix. I'm not going to comment on that side of things, because you really can't tell the way it's been recorded back with the vocal. And it would be very unfair for me to rip out that mix now. But I think props to whoever done that backing track. I am a bit concerned about the professional level of that, especially with that little hooky vocal in that chorus. That seems memorable to me. I can't place it. I don't know where that's from, or maybe it's just that good, it's that memorable. But that seems a little bit questionable to me. I mean, as for the vocal performance over that, it was on the beat, but rapping doesn't always have to be on the beat. It lacked that charisma, it lacked that dynamic that gave that vocal some sort of weight and strength that you wanted to sort of listen to it. It was too laid back, it was too blasé. Yeah, I mean, it's a hard one to sort of give much more on, really. As I said, I'm not really going to start ripping apart the mix. That's how it's been recorded. You're never going to get a good mix that way. I do question where the backing tracks come from. And the vocalist needs to sort of get their props up, get a bit more confidence and get a bit more feeling into that, and make me want to listen to what they're saying.
All right, Ian, I appreciate it. Thank you. And Tom, what are your thoughts on this one?
I have to agree with everyone. It was a little hard to make out. Ian's spot on when it comes to, it being... It sounded like it was played back on a boombox and recorded into an open mic, maybe on a laptop. Yeah. But if they could afford a laptop, then, why not just play back the track and record into it? It's probably from stereo to stereo. The guy's trying to obviously make do with what he has. The backing track, as Ian said, you can't really go into it, you can't really hear it, and it really sounds like it's an instrumental track from something else that the kid really liked and just sort of wrote a rap to. The rap style is familiar. He was on beat. Nothing memorable about his rapping style. he definitely needs to get a little bit more emotional, I think, a little bit more involved in his lyrics and not so monotone delivery. It's a tough one to really get into because there's just, you know, and I did hear what I thought was a dog bark, and I mean, the guy's trying. He's doing what he can with what he's got, so I don't want to put him down.
All right, Tom, I appreciate that. And do want to remind everybody in the chat, I'd mentioned, I believe this is a female artist. I could be wrong, but the track is called Worrying by Jay Sharia. And we appreciate Jay for sending that song into Music Scene Investigation. All right.
Oh, Rich.
Yes, sir, Tom.
The reason why that ended so quickly?
Yes.
He pressed stopped on the cassette.
That explains it all. That explains it all.
No, because if that was the case, you'd have got that clunk. You did with tape. Come on, you did with tape. When you recorded tape, you were recording along. You do your bit.
You'd hear
press stop, and it go clunk.
With 8-track tape, you definitely did. All right, and a reel-to-reel, the same thing. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to throw the ball back in your court and ask our studio audience out there in internet land to please be a witness on this. Go to that link that Ian had placed out in the chat room. That's musicsceneinvestigation.com/witness. Let us know what you thought of these tracks as well. All right, gentlemen, it's up to you right now. You need to select a song of the week.
Indeed. Yes.
Number 4.
I'd go as far as number 5, to be honest.
Would you like to come back next week? Yes, that's the old one. I think, as we've said, it's hard to be objective about number 3, isn't it? Because that's the one that I don't want to just dismiss it, but it's hard to be objective about it. And you know, we all know what it's like to have no money to record. You know, it's from that point of view, I've got sort of sympathy with that.
I mean, it really is a toss-up between 1 and 2. I mean, we can't look at number 3 based on the fact of how we generally review songs here. It doesn't meet any of the requirements, really. You know, that's not being rude. That's just how we look at things over here. And the other 2 tracks are done much better.
Yeah, sure.
So which one?
Yeah, which one?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, you know, again, we could look at it on the basis that Song of the Week, the only real song was number 2.
It's number 2. Yeah, that's more or less what I was just musing on. If you're looking for a song, it's number 2. But one had a lot of things going on.
Yeah, it did.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and because of
3.
No, I'm not that far out. I'm going to go with number 1 because it was recorded reasonably well. There was effort and promise in the production, and even though it didn't really go anyplace, it didn't bother me constantly with its out-of-tuneness, and it was easier to listen to. And even though it's not memorable, maybe that might be the best thing about it this week.
Yeah, I'm just going to say I'm trying to choose number 2, but it's that out of tune thing.
Yeah,
it's something that virtually a couple of producers have said to me that I've worked with over time. They've said that when you send something in somewhere, when you submit something, it is assumed that it's the best thing that you can do. And for better or worse, that's come back to me. Whether it's true or not is another thing, but it's come back to me, and for that reason, I think it has to be number 1.
And I think, you know, in music, it is a basic. Tuning is a basic. It's not an advanced skill. It's something you have to get right if you're going to make music. So I think, yeah, based on that criteria, although it probably is the only song of the week, really. Number 2 isn't going to get it on the base of the tuning, so I'm going to go with number 1, with the gentleman. It's got some good things about it, but that mix really needs a lot of attention.
All right. Well, there you have it. Unanimous song number 1, Skelectory with Theme 43 is this week's Song of the Week. All right.
Actually, it's number 1 with a warning.
Number 1 with an asterisk? Okay.
A proviso.
All right. Leigh, appreciate you being with us. Thanks again for joining us as always. Anytime we can get you back here, we love it.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, it's always good to be here. Thank you.
We can get you to call in from Croatia, maybe.
Well, who knows? I'll send you a photograph or something.
That'd be great. That'd be great. It'd be the only photograph I have from Croatia.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's it. We're off.
Well, we appreciate it. Thanks again, Leigh. And
yeah, thank you all.
Ian, who do we have coming up as our guest panelist for next week?
I do believe it is our old friend, Miss Andrea Bensmiller, much to Tom's delight.
All right.
Ah, the lovely, the wonderer, the illustrious Andrea.
There you have it. So that'll be very cool. All right. Thanks for being with us, everyone. We want to invite you again to join us live every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern and 9 p.m. GMT right here at MusicSceneInvestigation.com. Right now we're going to play out with Theme 43 from Skelectory, and hope you all have a great day. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.